This, as a traditional camera, by all accounts, is impractical, nonsense, and too expensive for what it can do. For the same dollar amount, you can get a different camera that's way more capable. But the Sigma BF is not your typical trad camera. It's more of a statement piece that so happens to take some really good photos. And that's kind of its thing. Not just itself, but also for the person that owns it. Not me though, I'm just borrowing this. I like to equate this to carrying a piece of art with you. Sometimes functional art may not be the most practical, but their appearance can represent you and who you are. Much like the outfit that you carefully curate for the day, or that nice weekend car you want to take out for a spin. But the Sigma BF also goes beyond looks. It's more than just a hot bod. It has a bit of brain as well. Not in the conventional way, but I think it will appeal to anyone who can appreciate fine aesthetics, even if they have zero knowledge about cameras. By the way, this video is not sponsored by Sigma, but they did loan this to me for a limited time with no prior viewing of my opinion before the release of this video. Though, fair warning, we will be doing a lot of glazing because of how sexy this camera is, but I'll also be sharing the real cons that matter later in this video.
Design.
First off, the camera and the lenses that pairs with it are made in Japan. The body is carved from a single block of aluminum. Even the buttons and the wheels are all metal. It doesn't feel cheap. If anything, it feels dense. You won't break it, but it might break you. On top of that, for them to manufacture something like this actually takes 7 hours for one body. And Sigma confirmed themselves that they can only make about 9 of these a day. So while it's not one of a kind, what we're getting here is something that is very limited. The Sigma BF is just as fun shooting with it as it is taking photos of it. I know, sounds dumb to say, taking a photo of your camera, but it's 2025. The concept is not crazy. Go to a nice cafe, place it right next to your toast and latte, and it is a vibe. So it comes in 2 colors, silver and black, and the silver is gorgeous. It's goddamn beautiful. Black looks nice too, but it doesn't quite stand out. You put the black in a pile of other cameras and it'll get lost, but the silver, it's eye-catching. And the one thing that I love Sigma for is having 9 of their I-series prime lenses also readily available in silver with the launch of the BF. This is a huge thing for me because, as a Sony user primarily, Sony doesn't release white or silver lenses to match their white cameras. They do have some, but not a lot, especially not in their high-quality G and G Master lenses. And it's honestly a little infuriating. The white cameras with black lenses just makes it feel like I'm carrying an Oreo. Sigma spent the last few years building up their contemporary I-series prime lenses, from 17mm all the way to 90mm, in black, for various camera models. So they got the blueprints and they got the internals down. All they had to do was just to make them in silver now for the Silver BF. And that is a home run move I never saw coming. Now, even though there's a small spot here to loop a strap and the bottom here to put a tripod plate, I actually don't want to put anything on it. I feel like it would just ruin the aesthetic of the camera. Now, I'm sure someone who is more fashionable than I am will find a matching aesthetic strap for this, but if I ever own one in the future, I'll choose to be foolish and not strap anything on it just to keep this looking beautiful.
Inner beauty.
Now, more than looks, the Sigma BF is actually a powerful camera. Not in the sense that it is a workhorse that you can do every single professional gig in the world, but more powerful than what everyday life would demand. Inside of this is a full frame 24 megapixel sensor, so the picture quality is going to be amazing. And I love the fact that there is no cheap plastic kit lens that comes bundled with the camera, where it doesn't feel like you're leveling up from your phone photos. You have to get these I-series lenses, which are high quality. Now, these are prime lenses, so we're getting amazingly sharp photos, and the f2 on some of these lenses will give us plenty of big, beautiful bokeh, that signature pro camera background blur. Autofocus, surprisingly really good. It's not as smart as Sony or Canon. You kind of have to guide the BF sometimes simply by tapping on the screen to set your focus, but when it tracks very well. Again, it's more than good enough for simple, everyday tasks. I love the simplicity of the interface. It's not the most practical, but I still think it's very intuitive. You press the center button here and use the up, down, left, right to cycle through the different functions like shutter speed, aperture, ISO, white balance, and you would rotate the wheel again to fine-tune the individual setting. And when you leave it on a particular setting, it will be saved to this little LCD screen here, indicating that if you rotate the wheel again, it will change that specific setting only. So for me, I like to leave it on exposure compensation so I can freely adjust the exposure as I shoot. And because these I-series lenses that pair with the BF have an aperture ring, I can just use that to change my depth of field. Everything else, I just leave it on auto. So while you can shoot raw DNG and do your own post-processing edits later, I always believe everyday carry cameras like this are purely just for fun, just for the pure joy of taking photos without the back-end work later. So the straight out of camera JPEGs will look great. Sigma included various picture styles, and they all look amazing. You can leave it on the little LCD screen that I was talking about earlier and cycle through them to see what looks best for the scene that you're trying to photograph. Or I'll do you one better. Just shoot both raw DNG and JPEG anyway, because in the playback here, you can do slight tweaks to the raw DNG, from increasing or decreasing the exposure, to changing your white balance, to even choosing a different filter altogether. All after the fact, all in camera. It's just nice to have a bit of wiggle room when you think you messed up. Now, the way that you get the photos off the camera is by using a USB-C cable and plugging it to your phone or computer. The BF is all internal storage, so no external SD card plugging it in, taking it out, slotting into your computer. Just no. And some people will see that as a con. But I see this as a very freeing experience for the more casual folks because you can just literally take this out of the box and start shooting with it. And there's plenty of space inside here, roughly 230 gigabytes of memory, which can net you approximately 14,000 JPEGs. And it sorts your photos into separate folders by dates, which I think is very nice.
Foolishness.
Again, if we look at it as a traditional pro camera, then yeah, there's gonna be a long list of cons. For $2,000, the Sigma BF would make 0 sense to buy when there are plenty of better options out there, i.e. the Sony a7C Mark II. Other photography channels have already covered extensively how badly this camera stacks up with others in similar price ranges, so I'm not gonna get into that. Because a lot of those cons won't apply to the people who would buy this camera. So if that's gonna be you, here are some actual cons you'll run into with the Sigma BF. As I've said, this thing is all metal. It's dense. While the body itself feels light, when paired with the I-series lenses, it becomes difficult to hold. The setup will feel imbalanced with the lens giving off the front drag. It's okay when you're holding it up to shoot, but in between shoots, when you're carrying it, you're gonna wanna two-hand it or get a strap. Here's a photo of my hand carrying this thing after 1 hour. I think I might be internally bleeding. Now, the last thing about lenses, if you have the lens hood on with the magnetic cap, it is difficult to fish out the cap. And I only bring this up because a lot of our friends had trouble with it when they asked to check out the camera for the first time. The screen here does not flip out. And like many reviews have brought up, even with the outdoor screen assistant feature turned on, it's still hard to see the screen when you're using the camera in broad daylight. Sure, a pop-up electronic viewfinder like the ones that we would see in the Sony RX series would have been helpful, but I think it would also hinder the overall aesthetic of the camera. The touchscreen itself is very confusing. You can't touch a majority of the settings like the main ones here on the screen, but once you access one of the specific ones with your buttons and wheels, there are then some options that you can touch to change. Aside from that, you can pinch to zoom in playback. And this next thing, I think will be a huge sore point for a lot of casual folks, but there is no Wi-Fi and there is no Bluetooth, so you won't be able to wirelessly control or send photos or videos to your phone. And I know I didn't make any mentions of it, but yes, this camera can also shoot 4K and 1080p videos as well. But that's not gonna be why you would get this camera. And the final con in this list is that the battery life isn't the greatest. It is a small, skinny battery that's trying to power a full-frame sensor camera. So throughout the day, I would see the battery level depleting fast. So definitely get one more battery or do the unaesthetic thing and plug it into a battery bank when you're in a pinch.
Is it worth it?
So with all that said and done, will the Sigma BF be a popular camera during its life? Who knows? But I can see this being a legacy piece. The type of camera where years down the line, collectors and enthusiasts will pay a lot of money for it. Its beauty and its simplicity are two of its biggest selling points. And funny enough, it's in its name, BF, beautifully foolish. Not Sigma boyfriend as the internet might have you believe. But if you're subscribed to that philosophy of beauty and simplicity, then you'll love this camera. Stay hungry, stay foolish, and stay around to listen to what my sponsor Squarespace has to say. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform to create beautiful websites. No coding knowledge needed. Just simply choose from their many templates and designs. Perfect for photographers and online shop owners. Use my link down below for a 14-day free trial, and when you're ready to launch, you can use my code Jason Vong to save 10% off your first purchase of your website or domain. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you guys in the next video. Stay beautiful. Peace.